Ladies and gentlemen, if we could ask everybody to take their seats, we'll get started with Coach Calhoun in just a moment. Thanks for being here.
You know, Jerrod Calhoun's likely going to be the target for Cincinnati. It makes all the sense in the world.
Coach Calhoun does it probably better than anybody.
Jerrod Calhoun's the guy. He's 1A, 1B, 1C right now.
It just feels like it's going to happen.
Let me talk to you about Jerrod Calhoun.
There's a lot of ties and there's a lot of reason for a lot of people to want him to be the next coach here at Cincinnati.
That's like why I'm excited. He just seems like a basketball coach, man.
You think Calhoun's going to Cincinnati?
Cincinnati could certainly be in play.
I love Calhoun.
Calhoun is the one, like, slam dunk.
Does anybody truly think it's not going to be Jerrod Calhoun?
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a special day here at the University of Cincinnati as we introduce UC's new men's basketball head coach, the reigning Mountain West Coach of the Year, Jerrod Calhoun. Here's a quick rundown of today's agenda. Athletic Director John Cunningham will share some remarks and introduce Coach Calhoun for a jersey presentation. After Jerrod speaks, Senior Associate AD Zach Stipe will call on reporters for questions. Please raise your hand and use a microphone. And then following the Q&A, Coach Calhoun will have some other media obligations, and John Cunningham will be available to answer your questions to the right of this stage. Finally, men's basketball alumni and former coaches are invited for a casual meet and greet in the Lexus Club at 2:30, and then a formal alumni event will take place in the coming weeks. Now let's get to our new head coach. Way back in 2003, I got to know a hard-working 22-year-old kid who was just beginning his coaching journey as a student assistant here at the University of Cincinnati. I think everyone and anyone who met Jerrod back then saw his work ethic, saw his love of basketball, and knew that he was going places. How cool is it that his coaching journey has come full circle and brought him back to his alma mater. Now, to formally introduce the 29th men's basketball head coach in UC basketball history, please welcome Athletic Director John Cunningham.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here today. This is an exciting day for the University of Cincinnati, for Bearcat basketball, and this entire community. Before we get started, I do want to take a moment just to recognize and thank a few people. Coaching searches are never simple, and this one was not. They require diligence, alignment, and clear vision for the future. And I am especially grateful to Deputy ADs Brad Pike and John Daniel for your leadership, your commitment, the many hours they put into this process. I want to thank Lori Ross and Lauren Compton for their legal assistance throughout this process. And I also want to thank Zach Stipe and the media relations team, facilities team, our UCATS group, and everybody that's involved in putting this actual presser on. It's not easy to do in a very short period of time. Our staff work incredibly hard. I'm very proud of the staff that we have here at UC. I also want to thank Dr. Pinto, president of this university, our university board of trustees, and university leadership for their continued support of Cincinnati athletics. Their commitment to excellence in everything that we do in this very competitive Big 12 environment is felt every day. Today is about finding the right leader at the right time for this historic basketball program, this university, and this city. Someone who understands what Cincinnati is all about, someone who understands the pride, the edge, the expectations, and the responsibility of wearing the city's name across our chests. Jerrod Calhoun is coming home, back to the state of Ohio where he grew up, and back to the city of Cincinnati where his coaching career began under Coach Huggins. A graduate of this university, Coach Calhoun knows firsthand what it means to be a Bearcat. He understands the expectations that come with this job to connect this city and this fan base to this program. The competition in the Big 12, as we all know, is fierce. Night in and night out, we play against some of the best teams in the country, coached by some of the best coaches in the country. And to succeed in this league, you need more than just talent. You need an identity. You need discipline, and you need a competitive edge and a schematic advantage. That's exactly what Coach Calhoun brings to the table. But beyond systems and style, what stood out the most throughout our process of getting to know him is his ability to build a true program identity. Not just a team for a season, but a culture of long-term success. The expectations at the University of Cincinnati and our basketball program are high. They always have been, and they always will be. We expect to compete for Big 12 championships. We expect to compete nationally in the NCAA tournament. We expect to develop young men, to graduate young men, and prepare them for success in life. That's why today is important for our program. We have found a leader who fits Cincinnati, who understands it, who values it, and who is ready to fight for it every day. Coach Calhoun, we are thrilled to welcome you and your family, your wife Sarah, your children Jordan, Kennedy, Kendall, and Quinn, to the University of Cincinnati family. We are excited for what's ahead, and we are all ready to get to work. Coach Calhoun.
Thank you so much, John. I want to really thank Dr. Pinto. It was great meeting you. Really look forward to your leadership and spending some time with you in the next couple days. I want to thank our Board of Governors, You guys are the best. I thought this was the best process in my time in coaching. I want to start by thanking my family, the sacrifices that they've made throughout my crazy basketball journey. They're really sacrificing school here lately. We've been in Las Vegas, San Diego, Utah, and now Cincinnati in 9 days, and I think they've been to 1 day of school. So they're not looking forward to school, but they've been part of this journey and play a huge, huge part. I want to thank my agent, Brett Just. This would not have happened without his guidance. He's had the last 5 national championship coaches. There is no better agent in college basketball. I'd also like to thank Kevin Walsh that made the trip here today. Brett's number 2 guy with WME. My journey started right in this gym. The gym looked a heck of a lot different, I can tell you that. I'll never forget, coming from Cleveland State University as a player, we were getting ready for opening night, and it was a practice, and I was walking. I'm so confused by the gym, but I was walking with Coach Huggins, and I asked him, I said, Hugs, what's tomorrow going to look like? What's this crowd going to look like? I just got done playing. I'm a student assistant. I don't know anything. And he said, Jerrod, it'll be 13,176 people every night. They're here to see the Cincinnati Bearcats. It doesn't matter if we play Akron tomorrow. Our team is beloved by these fans. And, that started my journey. And this has been an amazing basketball journey. And I really believe, I told Terry Nelson and I told Corey Blunt this today, I think the man above had this mapped out. Coming back here was in his plan. It started, at Cincinnati, learning from Coach Huggins. I think the best college basketball coach of all time. The best practice coach I've ever seen. He empowered Andy Kennedy. He empowered Dan Peters. He just empowered you. He made you believe that you could do anything. Then it was on to Walsh University with Jeff Young, probably the greatest coach in Ohio that nobody talks about. Won a national championship there, and it was an incredible, incredible 3 years. From Walsh, went back with Coach Huggins at West Virginia. I met him at a Burger King in Youngstown, Ohio. He said, you want a job? I said, sure, Hugs, I'd love to work with you again. True story. So he says, all right, I'm going to make you my director of basketball ops. So I went there for 4 years, was the director of basketball operations, and really learned how to run a program on a day-to-day basis. It was awesome. And then the opportunity to go to Fairmont State, a Division II school, took a $60,000 pay cut. We were going into the Big East. I wanted to be a Division II head coach. And once again, I turned to Hugs, and he said, if you want to run your own program, you don't get too many opportunities. You probably need to do this. So I went down the road, and Paul Molinari joined me, Mantoris Robinson, and Joe Mazzulla, and off to the races. Press conference came. The next morning, we were supposed to have practice. I'll never forget this. And the stage was still set up. And I wanted to call Coach Huggins and tell him, can I come back? What did I just do? What kind of mistake did I just make? But honestly, it was the greatest experience running your own program because nobody cared. Nobody watched. Nobody saw your mistakes. So you're able to really tinker with your offense and your defense. And it was incredible. We played for the national championship. And then off to Youngstown State, where I was hired by the guy by the name of Ron Strollo, just a tremendous AD, but I was guided by Jim Tressel, just a tremendous president. After we lost the Division II game, he recruited me to go to Youngstown State, and a lot of what we do program-wise and belief-wise was from Jim Tressel. The way he operated, the way he ran our university, it was just incredible. It was considered one of the worst Division I jobs in the country when we took it. And 7 years later, we had 2 of the best years back to back. And then it was off to Logan, Utah, a place that none of us knew about. Was hired by Diana Sabo, probably one of the greatest interviews I ever had. I got to meet the players. It was very unique. The players were involved in the process of hiring a new coach, and as I was selling my vision, I didn't want to leave. I said, wow, these kids really want to win. They're buying into what I'm talking about, and it was the greatest experience. But you know, all things kind of always led to Cincinnati. But the way we've built it at every stop, and especially the last 2 years at Utah State, and I was telling Terry Nelson this, we have a very unique system. We have a different style to play basketball. We're very precise on how we recruit, how we operate on a day-to-day basis. In the modern era of college basketball, I think you're seeing a lot of people just accumulate talent. We want to accumulate winners. And at Utah State, 2 years ago, we went to the NCAA tournament with $800,000. We were the lowest at-large team in America. This year, we went and spent $2.4 million on a roster, and we won a regular season title. We won a tournament title. We won a first-round NCAA game, and we took Arizona to the final 4 or 5 minutes. Not here to say we don't need money by any means. Okay, we need a lot of it, and that's for sure. But I think what it shows you is our ability to evaluate the right people. You have to have the right people. The University of Cincinnati deserves a winner in men's basketball. This city deserves to be rocking and rolling again. People need to fear us in the state of Ohio. It's the best basketball job in the state of Ohio, and I think it truly is. So why did I take Cincinnati? It's been a crazy 2 weeks, and that's why I credit Kevin and Brett helping me navigate this. Big part was John Cunningham. Big part was Brad Pike. Their vision, their energy, everything aligned with our family and wanting to get back to the great state of Ohio and put Cincinnati back on the map. But we had other options, there's no doubt about it. But I just kept thinking of Fifth Third Arena, the student section, the fans, all the friendships, and being so close to home. But John really, really sold it to me. And there was one other guy, he's out in Los Angeles, he's become a very big mentor of mine. Over the last couple years, he and I have really, really connected on a lot of things. Mick Cronin. Mick Cronin was tremendous. Seems like he's related to everybody in town, kind of like Hugs in West Virginia. These guys, no wonder they dominated so much. You know, just Mick's vision and Mick's desire to get this program back, and you're the right guy at the right time. Your style will work there, was tremendous. I really look forward to seeing all the former players. I grew up idolizing Mel Levitt, Steve Logan, Ruben Patterson. Those are my guys from Cleveland, right? That means a lot to me. Eric Martin, Nick Van Exel, Kenyon Martin, Danny Fortson, Terry Nelson, the list goes on and on. Everybody in here, we all idolize these guys. They're going to play a big part of this. John Meeker, how can I forget Ace seeing there? One of the most popular Bearcats of all time, I could tell you that. We are going to develop a mentorship program. Our former players will be part of this. We will have a character class. Our players will understand what it means to put the Bearcat uniform on. That I can tell you. Because none of us are here without these players. And you see all these guys, and it's kind of very surreal to be up here today. I'll be honest with you. I'm very humbled, honored that Keyshawn and the guys are here. Had a great meeting with him last night. Look forward to growing with these current guys. And, you know, in about a week, it's going to be portal season. So you guys are going to hear a lot of the rumors and a lot of different things about our team. But one thing is going to be certain. When they put the Bearcat uniform on, they're going to make this city proud. They're going to reflect you guys, the fans. And we need to do this together. It's much bigger than a coach, one player. We all need to be moving in the right direction. So I look forward to meeting every one of you guys and women out here. Thank you for coming. We don't take this opportunity lightly. I told John and Brad that, and let's get to work.
Media, please raise your hands for questions and use the microphones. Chad?
Coach Chad Brendel, BearcatJournal.com. When you get to play a Big 12 team in the tournament, how much did you look at that Arizona game, or can you look back at it now and understand what the league's about, what the conference takes, and the challenges ahead?
Yeah, I mean, listen, every possession is a challenge in this league. The physicality, the coaching, it's a demanding basketball league. The first thing you have to do to have a successful team in this league is you got to have depth. If you don't have the depth, your kids are going to wear out. Basketball is a long season. We want to develop a great bench. That, to me, is going to be critical. We have to have 9 or 10, maybe 11 players in our rotation. I think what Tommy did was a little bit different. Obviously, every coach is going to build their roster. They're going to scheme differently, different brands of basketball, right? We have some unbelievable successful people in here today. There's a lot of different leaders. There's a lot of different styles to doing things. Our style on offense is going to be about find, create, and keep advantages. We want to find an advantage. We want to create it. We want to keep it. We want to create space for players. We want to play fast, but we want to play efficient. So seeing Tommy's team, he's very convicted in what he's doing with his size this year. I was really impressed with his front line. But every coach is going to coach a little bit different. You know, I think you have to figure out what makes you tick and what works for you. And we've had one of the best offenses in the country for a number of years. Nobody in the portal goes in there talking about defense. I could tell you that. So right then and there, we're one up on most of the teams in the country, because when they look at us, they see a very good brand of basketball where the ball goes in. But, you know, we got to see what we retain, what we'll get in the portal, but we're going to recruit to our system. We're not going to just accumulate talent.
Joe and then Scott.
Joe Danneman with Fox 19 here in Cincinnati. Jerrod, when John introduced you, he said one of the traits that stood out was your ability to build a true program identity. You've done this for a while now. What would you describe as your program identity?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's family. I think it's a family atmosphere. You know, it starts with our players' families. I think on all the best teams, if you ask Coach Huggins about his Final Four team, the unsung heroes of that team were the parents. We had unbelievable parents. Same thing with the 92 team with Eric and Terry and those guys, right? So during the recruiting process, you have to do an unbelievable job in a very short period of time to make sure that the guys you're bringing in really fit to how you want to coach and how you want to run your program. So we're very simple. It's putting the team over me, so it's we over me. There's a million ways to do that. But we want to make sure every single day we are taking the steps in order to see that behavior, not only on the court, but in the classroom, you know, in this community, right? I think, you know, the most gratifying thing about all this, you know, we're landing in Cincinnati, and I'm getting texts from parents of players at Walsh and at Fairmont State and at Youngstown State. You know, none of us are taking these wins with us when we go, right? It's memories, it's relationships, and that's what this program will be built on. And I explained that to Terry, and I explained that to C. Blunt. Like, we got to have that on a daily basis.
Scott Springer, Cincinnati Enquirer. Sometimes when coaches move, they bring some players with them. Are any Aggies that might look good in black and red? And one other thing, what did it mean for that big fella in the red hat to come hug you before you came up here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, today, the way the transfer portal works, it's not open yet. So when the portal opens, we're going to recruit a ton of guys. You know, at 2:45 today, our journey will start, not only with the portal, but the most important guys are the guys in your program, right? The guys that are here right now have built-in advantages of playing in the Big 12. They understand what the Big 12 looks like, what the coaching styles are. So we're going to start with our current players because they're the most important guys. And then when the portal opens, we'll look at that. But you got to understand, a lot of players nowadays understand they're picking a program not only for the university, but for the coach, the relationship, the style. So Utah State is a top 30 job in America. It truly is. You know, it's a place that has an incredible student body, 3,800 students every night. So, you know, the players that are there will have to decide that. But I can tell you this, when we got the 9 seed, after winning 28 games in a regular season title and a tournament title, you know, that was pretty telling. You know, and I think the game has changed. I think college basketball has changed forever. We don't have one team outside of Iowa, which is a 9 seed, and they're a Big Ten school, right, in the Sweet 16. So I think kids will die to play at the University of Cincinnati. This is an incredible town with an incredible fan base, and I think we'll be able to attract some of the best players in the country, whether that's through the portal, high school, retaining our current guys. We have to look at everything.
Keegan Nickerson with Bearcat Journal. When you go back to your early 20s and your playing career ends, what was the ultimate motivating factor that made you get into coaching, and what's kind of kept you in the profession?
Well, I knew I stunk. So when you're 6'3" and you stand in the corner, and I played for a legendary high school coach in Ted Kwasniak. Just a wonderful person. That's where my love of basketball really started. You know, the way he ran our program, Mel Levitt can tell you, I think we have the second most state championships in the state of Ohio. That's where my love to really want to coach. But I was pretty realistic, you know, and then I got with Coach Massimino at Cleveland State. And when I got here, guys like Andy Kennedy and the assistant coaches, the amount of knowledge you were able to gain, you just wanted to keep striving to move on and, you know, continue to climb up the ladder.
Who's next? Mike and then Yanni.
Mike Petralia, CLNSCincy.com. Welcome, first of all, Jerrod. And secondly, what types of characteristics have you taken from not only Bob Huggins, but so many other coaches, and how will you apply them here in Cincinnati?
Yeah, you know, Jeff Young, probably the best skill development guy I've ever seen. You know, Andy Kennedy, I would say, was tremendous. You know, I worked with him with the bigs, but just a great personality. You know, Coach Huggins, I will say, is the best practice coach I've ever seen. If you look at his coaching tree right now, it's one of the most non-talked about coaching trees of all time. And, you know, guys like Brad Underwood, Mick Cronin, you know, Andy Kennedy, the list goes on and on. You know, he empowered us to run stations. He empowered us to run a side of the ball. You know, Joe Mazzulla has been instrumental, to be honest with you. He and I see the game similar offensively because of our relationship, you know. And there's not a lot of coaches that run these types of offenses and that sort of thing. Coach Massimino, obviously the family atmosphere, the changing of the defenses, you know, kind of what we did with Arizona, putting that pressure on them. You know, that was Coach Huggins, that was Coach Massimino. You know, just so many lessons. I think you get better with time. You know, looking at those pictures, it's kind of depressing because I got gray hair and I'm, you know, it's time flies. But as time goes on, I think you get better at every stop of the way. So just so many people have impacted, you know, my journey.
Yanni, then Chad.
Yanni Tregellis with Local 12. A little bit of a nostalgia one here, Coach. If you can take yourself back to, you know, 2003, 2004, you're a student assistant with Hugs. Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, when you're thinking about your coaching path, think, I'm going to be back here in the future?
I mean, you know, you don't know where life's going to take you. You know, you have to take a risk. I think my biggest risk of my career was leaving Coach Huggins and taking a Division II job. I don't know if anybody in the history of college basketball has done that. You know, all these Power 4 guys that want to be head coaches, they don't really want to work at the Division II level, you know. So I would say, you know, you dream of it, but you don't stop working. You know, at the end of the day, life's about getting on to the next chapter. As soon as all this hoopla ends, you know, I'm going to go back to my hotel tonight with a headache because I'm going to have 1,000 things to do by 10 a.m. tomorrow, you know. And coaching's hard. coaching's very demanding. You know, coaching is 330 days out of the year. That's why, you know, my kids have sacrificed a great deal, my wife. But they understand the way we run our program. We try to integrate everybody as much as we can by getting them on road trips and, you know, those sorts of things. But to be back here at the University of Cincinnati, it's a dream come true, right? And as I said, without John Cunningham, Brad Pike, and Coach Cronin, I don't know if this happens. They really, really had a great vision.
You've built a coaching staff at the D2, low major and mid-major levels. How much do you take from that going up to the high major level? How much is it the same? How much do you have to look at it a little different?
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, when the rule passes, anybody that's on staff is going to be able to be on the floor. So the rules have changed, the game's changed. I think your organizational pieces, a couple guys on offense, right? We have 2 guys on offense, 2 guys on defense. We have a personnel guy. We have a late game situations. You know, the reality of it is most games are won in the last 2 minutes. I think we're 17-4 in the last 2 years under, 2 possessions or whatever it is. You have to be able to execute late game. You have to have a plan. You have to, so those things are done in the off season. Those decisions are made. Are you going to foul up 3 on the road or at home? Sideline out of bounds, 2 seconds, they're switching everything. What are you running? This staff is high level. They'll be high level. We're thinking we'll have 1 or 2 more positions. Have talked to a few people. Have about 1,000 text messages that everybody has a player and everybody can deliver this and that. I'm really big on relationships and trusting the people that have been around me and grooming young people up. So the way we do our freshmen up to seniors, we want it to be like the real world. We start a lot of our freshmen at a certain level, and we want to try to incrementally see those gains, not only on the court, but also financially. So everything's kind of strategically done. We have a plan, and I think I shared that with John and Brad, and I think they saw the plan, and I think we both kind of agreed that this is going to be a really good thing.
Scott, then JT.
There are GMs now in college basketball. Your relationship with Corey Evans and how that's going to work.
Yeah, so, I remember Corey when he was just, getting into scouting and starting off, and I was at Fairmont State, and me and Joe Mazzulla would see him on the road. And, Corey is a prime example of these young guys and like myself getting in the business and understanding the sky's the limit, right? If you put your head down, you work, you get better, you try to grow. College basketball's changed. And I think you need a general manager. I think you need somebody outside the coaching staff that can go negotiate those contracts. I think the general manager and the coach have to be on the same page. If you look at the Boston Celtics, the alignment with Brad Stevens and Joe Mazzulla, you wonder why they're right back in the hunt, right? So the relationship has to be not one way. I'm not a yes guy. I like confrontation every once in a while in a coaching meeting. But we have to be very aligned on the style of play we're going to play, and more importantly, the character of the player. We're not going to compromise talent over character. That ain't going to work. I can tell you that. And, if we can get to the NCAA tournament back-to-back years, doing it the way we are with the resources we had, now you add bigger resources, you get good evaluations, you implement the plan. We should not be just wanting to get in the NCAA tournament. We should be wanting to advance week by week and get back to a Final Four.
JT. JT Smith for the Front Office News. You've been gone for over 20 years. How impressed are you with the upgrade to the state, to the arena, to the campus, to the facilities, and what kind of advantage do you feel that will give you while you're trying to recruit?
Well, I can tell you this, after talking to Dr. Pinto, I know our enrollment was way different than when I went to school. I'm amazed. I didn't know where I was at last night half the time. I said to Brad and the people we were dealing with, I don't know where we're at. These buildings are all so new, it's so different. Everything has just changed, and it's a test to leadership. You know, it's a test to Dr. Pinto, you know, hearing his story, how much he loves this university and how long he's been here, and the dedication, and all of our loyal supporters. It really takes everybody to make something special. So I'm looking forward to taking a tour later this afternoon, seeing kind of, you know, more, because this facility, I can tell you, we've played in almost every arena in America over the years. This arena is one of the, if not the best arena I've ever seen. I think it has an NBA feel with a college feel, the locker room, the lounge room. It's incredible. I mean, that locker room and the lounge room is top notch. The weight room is unbelievable. I mean, that weight room, the size, the ability to, just for men's basketball, you know, so Cincinnati has invested and it's time for our donors to be rewarded. And I take that very serious.
Ryan.
Ryan Roberts with Bearcat Sports Hub. Coach, when it comes to transfer portal additions versus traditional high school development, how much of an emphasis do you put on both, and how does your recruiting footprint change being here at Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think it's going to rely on, you know, really depend on, you know, what our current guys do. You know, who wants to come back, who we decide to bring back, who makes sense in our system. You know, you can't have 15 eligible players, I could tell you that. You're going to have problems. It's hard to play 11. So at the end of the day, you're not playing 15, so you need to develop 12, 13, 14, and 15. Whether 12's active or not, you have to make that decision. But we took 5 freshmen last year. It was the greatest thing we ever did. Our scout team was one of the best scout teams in the country. The youth and the energy every day from those freshmen was awesome. So we'll do it a little bit of each. You know, I want to retain guys. I want to get some portal guys. And then eventually, once you get your feet under you, you should be adding about 4 to 5 portal guys a year. That's about it. So you start to develop, you start to retain, and next thing you know, you have a culture that you've kind of built. And, you know, then the players hold each other accountable. And, you know, that's what we had over the years. You know, all our great teams, we had great player leadership. You know, obviously Coach Huggins was, you know, the leader on the Final Four team at West Virginia, but there was many leaders on that team. Those players did a tremendous job, you know, and Hugs kind of taught them that. You know, same thing at Utah State. We had great leadership amongst our players, the connectivity, the camaraderie. I've never seen nothing like it, to be honest with you. And that's what we have to build here. And it's about the evaluation of the person more than basketball.
We have time for 1 to 2 more
questions. Yeah, we're putting Quinn to sleep. My 7-year-old's ready to go to bed. She's tired.
Keegan, final question.
What was the difference this past season to produce a top 50 defense and efficiency?
I think, you know, kind of what I alluded to a couple questions ago. I think you got to constantly change as a coach. You have to adapt. You have to grow. Some of the best people you can learn from are high school coaches. We have some incredible high school coaches in the state of Ohio. I mean, some of the best. So I think as you try to build your program and you take the next steps, we asked ourselves, hey, where did we finish on offense and efficiency and defense? And we weren't happy. We were 149, I think, or 150. And it just ate at me all summer. And so we changed our recruiting philosophies. We changed our schemes and just really put an emphasis on it. And if you look at, you know, Cincinnati basketball, the best teams here, people feared us. People feared coming into Fifth Third Arena. You have to get the fear into your non-league opponents and your league opponents by really getting after them. You know, one thing we'll do is we're going to steal the ball. We're one of the best teams in the country at stealing the basketball, which is leading to fast breaks, which is getting people out of the stands, whether you're shooting step-in threes or dunks. We want to have that style. But, you know, now the next step is to get to top 30, you know, and stay in the top 20 in offense. And now you got a special thing.
Thank you, Coach. Welcome back up, Dan Horde.
All right, thank you.
All right, for folks who are watching today on the live stream is going to continue. Terry Nelson and Chase Youts will continue the conversation about what today's news means for University of Cincinnati basketball going forward. We want to thank Coach Calhoun, Athletic Director John Cunningham, and President Pinto for being here today. We also want to really thank a man who won 935 games, went to 2 Final Fours, and earned his rightful spot in the National Basketball Hall of Fame. Please welcome back Bob Huggins. And one more reminder that former players and coaches are invited to the Lexus Club for an informal meet and greet. That will start right after some of the other media obligations that Jerrod has. It should get underway right around 2:30. Thank you again for being here today, and go Bearcats.
We'll have John Cunningham.